Okay, so this will be numbers 3 and 4 in this form. The first thing, they're connected. That's why we're going to do them together. Number 3 asked you to figure out what R was, and then number 4 asked you to write an equation for the sequence. So let's start with 3. We got to know R before we can write the equation. I showed you in the video that you can set this up kind of in table format. We know term 2, we do not know term 3 or term 4, but we also know term 5. So if you kind of look at this, we know term 1 is 6, or sorry, term 2 is 6, and we know term 5 is 81 over 4. Here's how we generate each term. We multiply term 2 by something, call it R, to get term 3. We multiply term 3 by something to get term 4, and then we multiply term 4 by something to get term 5. That helps us set up an equation that we can actually then use to solve for R. So if I start with my my second term, and I multiply it, and I multiply that by R to the 1, 2, 3 power, I will get 81 over 4. Now I've got an equation. I can solve that equation for R. Divide both sides by 6, and you get 27 over 8. And then you take the cubed root of both sides. Now, if you need your calculator to do that, that's fine. But remember, when we find the cubed root of a fraction, it's really just saying find the cubed root of the numerator and the cubed root of the denominator. So the cubed root of the numerator is 3, the cubed root of the denominator is 2, and our ratio, our common ratio, is 3/2. You may have also written that as 1.5. Now we're going to use that information, so we just figured out our common ratio is 1.5, or 3/2 if you like that better, to write the nth term. Now remember, this is geometric, so we have a new way to write our nth term for our geometric sequence, and we take our first term times the R value to the n minus 1 power, which ends up being a sub 1. We don't know, do we? But we know a sub 2. So we can kind of do this the same way we did in the previous problem, except we're working backwards. So where we would usually multiply by 1.5 to get the next term, if we're working backwards, now we're going to divide by 1.5. So if you take 6 and divide it by 1.5, you get 4. So our first term is 4 times R to the n minus 1 power. Oh, we know what R is though, don't we? Yeah, we know R is 1.5, so let me get that in there. That's important. Times 1.5 to the n minus 1 power. And then that's an equation. Now, some of you maybe remember how to do this from Algebra 1, and you could have also written this using the 0 term. So if you wrote a sub n equals 8/3 times 1.5 to the nth power, I would also take this, but this one is a little bit easier, I think, to come up with in this situation.